The following are the types of different lexical elements. Okay, let's look at one at a time. First of all, which characters are we allowed to use in the source code? All C compilers must support Latin alphabet and decimal digits and the following other characters. Okay, they can also support, for instance, Swedish and non-ASCII characters, Japanese, etc. And they are represented by something called a multi-byte character sequence. And think of that exactly as UTF-8 used in web pages and email, for instance. Okay. There was an attempt to include some characters normally not available in Scandinavian keyboards. And that's called a tree graph, and it's one of the cases that GCC ignores the standard. So what happens is that if you are from Scandinavia, you know that we have this H with A with a ring on, etc. And they usually had the same key as some other. Okay, so if we want to type, for instance, this character, then what was possible, or what is possible in C, is to type these instead. Or array left bracket, we can use this. This is not so popular outside Scandinavia, and I would say it's not popular in Scandinavia either. It comes from Copenhagen. I mean, it was the Danish committee group that suggested and got this accepted. But now it's not. This was before UTF-8. Okay, so it's not a big issue, and no one should use it. Really, it's a bad idea. Okay, so that's that. Okay, I should also say that we are allowed, but it's not guaranteed to be portable, to use non-Latin characters in identifiers. But it's trivial to implement in a compiler. I think it took less than 15 minutes to add it to the compiler that I'm have been using since I was a student at LTH, and I mean, I created it when I was a student, and so it's very trivial, but it's not portable. Okay, so what are the keywords? These, I will not mention all of them, but just to make a note, auto is completely pointless. It says that the local variable is a local variable. It's really absolutely meaningless to use. It is not at all the same as auto in, for instance, C++, where you can write auto and instead of the type, so that the compiler infers the type from the initializer. So just forget auto. And well, what we can see here is these are newer keywords, and they are introduced in the language not with I mean, they have an underscore and a capital character here, and the reason for doing that is to not create conflicts with existing code. That's really a very important role that all old C programs should still compile. But when you add a certain header file, you will get these will become available to you either as a type def or as a function name or macro name. Okay, so I mean without the underscore and capital character. There are rare occasions when the behavior of a C program has been changed, but it's with a new standard, but it's really very, very exceptional. Okay, you should know what each of these mean, except this with an underscore, basically. But the others you should know. It's not okay, we will come to certain, but as a general rule, this you should know. But if I've not said something in particular about one of these, you can ignore it. Especially thread local, since that's not part of this course, it's in the multi-core programming course. Okay, identifiers. They must start with a letter, and I mean A to Z, and not with an underscore. Many people write, well, at least many C programmers write like this to introduce a type def for a struct. They think that the struct tag is not allowed to be the same as the type name. So to make them different, they introduce an underscore in front. That's really wrong. Identifiers starting with an underscore are reserved for the system. The system here means operating system, standard library, or internal things used by the compiler. The compilers typically use some functions that are not part of either operating system or the C library, but to compute various things. And so we should never use that. This is completely legal for the compiler to have defined this quite meaningless thing, but if it has, then this will of course get a syntax error. Because what will happen, we haven't seen defined yet, but what happens here is that we define a macro. So whenever we see underscore num, the preprocessor will change underscore num to this. So it will be syntax error. Okay? So Unicode is supported by C, and that's basically UTF-8. Okay, and well, we can use it in different places.